Hey guys, this is Lauren at Queen Pen. So today is a continuation of our wedding cookie series. Since I've already taught you in a different video how to do wedding dress cookies, I thought it would be super fun to do some lingerie cookies today. So let's get started. Okay, so for the first style, we'll be painting on a thin layer of our frosting. I'm wanting it to look sort of sheer, so that's why I'm painting it on instead of flooding it on. So I used a pink flood consistency royal icing and then a food grade brush. And then as soon as we're done, I'm also planning for some white lace at the bottom. So I'm gonna add the white flood consistency at the bottom, and you can see I wet my brush a little bit too much, so that's why it's not acting as it should right there. So I'm using the pink detail consistency icing to create our scallop edges at the top and also to do our outline. And then I decided that I wanted to do little mini flowers in the white lace. So I'm just creating little 5-dot configurations that look sort of like flowers because it's a small area, so not a lot of room for a great amount of detail. And if you ever mess up, you can just use your scribe and scrape off what you just did and then redo the area. Ta-da! Okay, so we're hand brushing again for the second one, this time with I actually used a light pink, but it looks white here. I usually add a couple layers so it doesn't, appear completely sheer. I still want you to be able to see it, but on this one, we'll create a little bit more detail than the first one. So we'll use our detail consistency royal icing to create some of those lines and those details. The options with lingerie cookies are essentially limitless. So if you want to get creative with your own designs, then please do. I put the template for your use in the description below. So that's just the outline. I kept it pretty simple just because I want you to be able to be creative with your own designs. Okay, so here goes the scribble technique, and as you can tell, there is no rhyme or reason to it really. You just scribble, and if it doesn't look good, then you scrape it up with the scribe and try again. Okay, and then in the pink detail consistency, I did add a teeny tiny bow. And cookie number 2 is done. All right, cookie number 3 is Agent Provocateur's Mercy. I love this one. It actually looks like a Marilyn Monroe sort of. Hey, so this is future editing, Lauren. I just realized that the one picture that I saw of Mercy before gave me the complete wrong idea of what I thought this lingerie set was supposed to be. So the cookie actually looks nothing like the actual Mercy lingerie. So I did add the hand-painted details up in the top because we're gonna add some lacy bits, but most of it is actually flooded. I used my scribe to push it to all of the corners, and then I'll come back in with my detail consistency royal icing and add outlines to things and add my little lace shapes also. Now the part that we just flooded, the torso part, I am gonna let that dry in front of a fan before I add any details on top of that. If I were to try to add my details now while it's still wet, they would just sink into the flood consistency and you wouldn't see them. So now it's dried, and I'm gonna go ahead and add my outline and some buttons and some other details to make it cute. So here you see I'm hand painting on the black. In my head, it was going to be more sheer, and it was not at all. So I did change my mind afterwards. I ended up flooding over it because I just wasn't happy with it. That was later. So I added the white or light pink in there to have little lacy details. Okay, so we're adding that outline now, and it is starting to look more put together, but I still just wasn't very happy with the black. It needed something more, an extra oomph. It just looked very flat. There was just too much black. So I ended up flooding the black over, and that helped a lot, but it still just was too much black for me. I ended up switching up the design a little bit, so it's not a perfect copy of the Agent Provocateur design. I added hot pink for a little pizzazz. So I went rogue on this one. I mean, sometimes you just gotta keep messing with it until it looks right to you, and then just know when to stop. Okay, so I am much happier with it now that it has the hot pink and the extra detail. All right, so for Lorna, I decided to try the black again, but since hand painting on the black was not sheer enough for me, I'm going to hand paint on with the Sugar Arts black. So it's more like a thin, like watercolor paint almost. So I mixed the pigment, it's a powder, with some high proof alcohol. So the alcohol is going to evaporate very quickly. So when you eat the actual cookie, it does not taste like alcohol at all. It evaporates out. Okay, so now we're outlining in the black detail consistency royal icing. So if I were to do this cookie again, I would probably add even more alcohol to the Sugar Art black because I would have liked it to have been like a tad bit more sheer. Not much, just a tad bit. So that's, if you choose to do this, just add a little more alcohol. That way your black lines on top of black will really pop out a little bit more. Now I'm adding a light pink on top of it, adding a few more scallopy details. And now I'm adding some black bows in the detail consistency. But so I decided that the simple bra and panties combo was a little bit too simple for me. It needed a little bit more visual interest. So I decided to add the garter belt on there also, just to make it a little bit more fun. Oh, right, and so now I'm chipping away some of the black icing that I put down because it wasn't gonna match up with where I needed it now. So, I mean, that's what I say. Like, you can switch things up once you've put them down if you act quickly, like before everything is really fully dry. Okay, so now all my lines match up and I'm adding the final bow. So that's what she looks like finished. Okay, so this last one, my bad, I forgot to film the part where I was hand painting, but it's essentially the same process as you just saw in our style number 5. So I used the Sugar Art black and just hand painted it on. The Sugar Art black was combined with a little bit more of the high proof alcohol because I wanted it to be more sheer. So this is actually the level of sheerness that I was trying to accomplish for all of my black cookies, but trial and error, guys, trial and error. Figure out what you like. And this looks, the black in this looks blotchy until it's done, and when it's done, I love the finished product because it looks much more like a sheer black lingerie to me. So we're adding all of our black details in a detail consistency royal icing. And then this particular piece of lingerie had a bunch of really cute floral details in it, like really small floral details. So a little bit too much for me to replicate exactly. So I used my little 5-dot method for making tiny things that look like florals. So that's what I did. And it has, the real set of lingerie has black and light pink flowers lining the panty and the garter belts and the bra. So I recreated that as best I could. So I think this cookie actually ended up being my favorite one because it has all of the little details that I love, and I finally got my black to the correct level of sheerness that I was wanting. So this one was my favorite, but comment down below and tell me which one was your favorite and let me know if you end up trying this. Okay, and now I'm just adding the final touch of a couple little light pink bows in a detail consistency royal icing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please hit like and share it with a friend. I hope you're inspired to make some lingerie cookies for yourself, or at least go lingerie shopping online. I highly recommend Agent Provocateur. Not sponsored at all. I just think their things are beautiful and I want them. So if you do decide to make the cookies, like always, I have linked my recipe and my free template, as well as all of the supplies that I used today, down in the description below. So check that out. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.